place that is haunted. Right from the start, dear, built on an acre of sand.
How y'all doing? Welcome back to our podcast. This is Zada.
And I'm Kelly. And you're listening to
Two Sides and the Truth. See, we're getting better at that. I'm sorry, I'm getting better at that. Kelly already nailed it. So welcome back, everybody. We have a great new podcast for you today. Can't wait. We get to hear from a listener that sent us a letter or an email. What year is it?
a virtual letter.
A virtual letter, yes. And we're going to do a little bit of Halloween ghost stories, but true stories.
Yep.
That happened to us, not just, well, to me. I don't know Kelly's story.
I got one. We're good.
So I didn't know if it happened to her or not. So we're going to tell stories, and I don't know if she's ever heard my stories or not. I can't remember if I've told you these stories.
Well, it's okay. We're just going to go with it.
As if I'd remember. Let's be honest.
I don't remember you telling me, so.
Okay. You're going to know better than I am, to be honest with you.
It'd be funny if we got to the point where my memory gets so bad that I don't even remember if you told me something.
And it's like a new story every time. That's what I'm waiting on. It's too bad I'm the one that's older. I don't know if it's going to happen. Too far ahead of you already.
Well, maybe we'll get there.
So one thing I wanted to lead off on the podcast today is I wanted to talk about the passing of Leslie Jordan really quick. I know a lot of our listeners are big fans of Leslie Jordan because many of you have commented and posted about it today. Today was the day that he passed. I was a huge fan of Leslie Jordan. I'm not really a actress type of girl. I don't really follow a lot of them. I know a little bit about some of them.
Yeah.
I adored Leslie Jordan. I'm not going to lie. He did a lot of things for a lot of marginalized groups. He was just a really good guy, really funny and engaging. And I mean, it's funny to see people's reactions, who all I see posting about him, because some of these people are not people you would expect. So really cool to see the love around him. So something that I wanted to read, and then I'll drop it because I don't want it to be sad, and I don't think that Leslie Jordan wants everybody and their dog sad about him.
True.
He wants them happy and laughing. So I'm going to leave this part. This is what I have to say about him. This is something, a quote that I read of his, and it says, "Happiness is a choice, happiness is a habit, and happiness is something you have to work hard at. It does not just happen." And that's from his memoir, How Y'all Doing? and today I'm wearing my well shit hat in honor of him. And anyone that follows him knows that he would always say, well shit.
As soon as you told me that, I realized who you were talking about.
Yeah, I was like, you know,
oh, I do.
Yeah, well shit.
And
How y'all doing?
I wouldn't have known. Obviously, I don't have social media, so that was the first I've heard about it. So
I was just devastated today. I'm telling you, I just took it really hard, and I don't really take people. I mean, other than like Betty White, Dolly would be the only other one that's going to get me this upset. Man, that's going to be a bad day for me. Bad day. Anyway, so, Godspeed to Leslie Jordan. Thanks for all the laughs. Brilliant guy. So the next part of the podcast that we want to bring, this is a little something different. We have had our friend that we called, and we, had her join us for a question and answer thing that we already had going on. We gave her the topic, what we were discussing. She brought to the table what she was going to discuss.
Yes.
We have asked if anyone wants, us to bring them on air or, answer a question, see what we can do. And we got a message from Nicole, one of our listeners. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to read Nicole's letter, not until we call Nicole. We have to actually call her.
Do you want me to read it and then call her, or have her?
I think she needs to listen to it. How about I'm calling her while you read it?
Okay.
Or no, do your thing, because we've got to hook her up.
I know, but she knows what she wrote, and so I'm just gonna I'm not gonna read the whole letter. I'm just gonna give some spark notes basically on what she reached out to us about, and then we'll get her on here, and then she can go a little deeper into what she's going through.
Okay, perfect.
So this was our very first email from a listener, so that I was very excited about this. She wrote and she said, "So I'm thrilled that you've started this podcast, and I am enjoying it. While I love Big Al and have considered writing into the Third Wheel podcast, I no longer need to, because I truly just wanted the ladies' input. Kelly is just as trustworthy as Amy. I'm 33 and I've gotten out of a 2-year relationship. She says that she's definitely struggling with not knowing whether the relationship was just not healthy, if he was a narcissist, was he mentally abusive, was it just none of it healthy. She said she hasn't communicated with him for a few months. She still finds her, she's having a hard time still finding herself crying, angry, but then also happy that she's, clearly this wasn't a relationship that was good for her. So she's glad that she's out of it. And, but just having some mixed emotions on, moving forward and everything. She goes on to talk about how, she's just kind of feeling low overall. She's just feeling like friendships are not what she wants them to be. Job isn't what she wants it to be. The living situation isn't what she wants. She's from New York and she's thinking about moving further south. And so she's just wanted to reach out to us to get maybe some advice and on moving forward. And so we are going to be giving her a call so that we can hear a little bit more about her situation in her own words, and then hopefully give her a little bit of advice, a little bit of therapeutic advice. So we'll get her set up.
I've almost got it.
You almost got it.
Didn't think about this.
I know. We're kind of just throwing into here.
But we got it now. So
all
you're
right.
just gonna have to hit that.
Yep.
Hit call.
Okay. Ooh. Let's get this going.
Y'all, we found out you can Bluetooth through this when we call somebody, but we forgot to ask how. So
we know it can be done, but
we're not doing it.
We're not doing it yet.
So y'all are learning with us today. Kelly brought this neat little apparatus that will hold my phone and we can hold it up to a speaker. But then we forgot and it got left up to me, and I'm Gen X, so it currently looks like it has a limp dick, gosh. Basically.
It's okay. We got this. Okay, here we go. We're giving her a call.
All right. Dialing.
It is dialing. And I got to put it on the speaker.
Y'all would laugh so hard if you just saw what all just happened.
I'm so glad we don't have video yet.
Hello, Nicole. Welcome to the podcast. You're already recording.
So, yeah, just letting you know.
I think you need to be closer to the microphone.
Remember, this mic is turned down. You need to turn this mic back up.
Oh, that's what it is. Mm-hmm. Now, Nicole, let's hear you. Checking our sound.
Is it good on my end?
Oh,
perfect.
Yeah, that's much
now
better.
You're much better. So, Nicole, we read your email because, to be completely honest with you, we forgot to set up the microphone with the phone. I don't even have an excuse for that.
So we were like going to call you and we're like, oh wait, we're not going to be able to hear.
So Kelly's reading your email and I am trying to figure out the mic stand, and I'm Gen X, so that didn't go well. And
that's okay.
But we got it now. We're good.
Kelly got it.
We're professionals.
Yeah, completely.
I don't even know where to begin with podcasts, so
yeah,
I give you guys a ton of credit.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for your letter too. And Kelly, when I say she was excited for your letter, I mean she was excited.
I was like, we got our first email. And the thing is, there was a false alarm before we had an email, but it turned out that it was just like a spam email, but it looked like it was from a real person. And so I opened it up and then I was like, oh, this is just spam. So I was really sad. But then I got your email and I was like, Zada, we got a real email this time.
I get messages. Kelly's not on social media except Instagram, and she doesn't really participate in Instagram.
No, I've tried, but
yeah, it's not her thing. And so I am obviously on social media and post all the time and comment all the time. And so I have listeners message me and I have listeners comment, and I feel like I know a lot of listeners, quite honestly, at this point. Mm-hmm. But we hadn't gotten an email, and that was really meant a lot because you really have to take your time out to send an email.
Yeah, you do.
And so we appreciate it, and we appreciated the subject matter.
Yes.
Did you need a reminder from your email? I told her, what if she forgot what all she wrote? Because that's how I roll. You feel comfortable?
Yeah, well, can I just say, Zada, I've actually, since you started the podcast with Big Al, I honestly wanted to talk to you for months, or what has it been, over a year?
About 2 years now. Yeah, I think we're about to hit 2 years.
I've loved listening to you from the beginning, and even though we do have an age difference, I still love you and relate to you.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad you relate to me. When you said you were from New York, when they said you were from New York, when you said that and that you related to me, I totally get it. My friends tend to be not like me, and I like that. Yeah. And I feel like you learn from all walks of life and ages, and you know what I mean? And yes. I'm still learning, so I don't care how old you are, I'm still learning. So I appreciate you thinking I'm wise. I don't know that everybody agrees. Some people think I'm a wise ass, They would be right.
No, I like it.
Well, I appreciate it. And, maybe it's a little less, you might like it because you are from New York. I have a cousin from here that moved to New York. And the first 4 years she was there was a culture shock for her by the way people talk and how they talk to each other. And she really just kind of thought everybody was rude. And then the longer she was there, she was like, they're not rude. They're just not fake nice.
That's a big difference.
We're fake nice.
Yeah.
I mean, we get the job done, but most of it, that's the point of bless your heart because it's not a compliment.
Well, with the bless your heart thing, I love that. I stole that from you guys. I use it.
Well, good.
Awesome.
It's funny. This weekend I was at a wedding for a family member, and some of my family moved to Canada 15 years ago, give or take, and a few of them, like my uncle and two of my cousins, and they married people, so they're not coming back. And they were here for the wedding in San Antonio, and of course I talk like I talk, but they've been out for 15 years, and they were laughing at me and my bless your hearts. And I'm like, y'all were raised we were raised together. What are you talking about? How do you not talk like this? No, they're all Canadian now. They're very Canadian. They're very polite. They apologize a lot.
Yep.
That's what Canadians do, Kelly. I don't know if you know that.
I didn't know that. So
they do. They apologize a lot. They're very nice people.
I feel like I might be part Canadian then.
You might be. Yes.
I do a lot of that.
So Nicole, let's get to the subject here and go over it. So Kelly, you want to start first? You want me to start first?
Yeah. So I just want to let you know what I did. I didn't read your entire letter, but I read some spark notes about how you've just gotten out of a 2-year relationship. So I did have a question about that. I kind of wanted.
Wait, we did read your entire letter. She just didn't read it all on air.
Oh yeah. Okay. We read your entire letter. So I had a question on. Obviously, y'all were together for 2 years. Were y'all living together?
No.
Just
and we were pretty much long distance, especially in the last year when he moved back to Vermont after COVID calmed down. Because
so y'all were together during COVID, or COVID's over now, right? I mean, COVID was over 2 years ago, right? When did it end? Were y'all together during COVID? I don't know anymore.
Sorry, it's a little hard to hear.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't catch that bit.
I said, was it? Were you living together during COVID?
Yeah, I mean, with the shutdown, we met and we actually hung out a lot. I was unemployed for the first 2 months. I got laid off, and I kind of used that time to just take advantage of it. And then I got an accounting job again, and I kind of had to go back to work. But for the first 2 months, I got to see him a lot, and he stayed with me at least, I'd say, 3 or 4 days a week for the first 2 months. So I don't know, it kind of started off pretty heavy.
Yeah, sometimes.
And a lot of hooking up. It wasn't too serious, but then he had a lot of commitment issues and a lot of neglect, he says, with his parents, and he uses that whole excuse for why he didn't want to commit to me. It was hard to get him to even
he didn't want to
have the title of boyfriend girlfriend.
I want to make sure you can hear me and the mic can hear me, so I'm having to be in a weird position. So let me know if you still can't hear me.
Yeah, it's much better.
But so he's always been afraid to commit? Has always had a reason to not commit? Or were you committed for a little bit and then uncommitted because he moved?
It took about 6 or 7 months for him to get the boyfriend-girlfriend title down.
Do you think that you had to push for that, or do you think he wanted that?
I definitely had to, I guess, prove it. I don't know. It's honestly blurry to me. I do think he loves me. I do think he wanted it. It's just, I think he's afraid of everything.
Yeah.
He's afraid to have children. He's afraid of marriage. His parents don't have a great marriage. It's just all of it. It's kind of textbook.
I will be honest with you. This is my this is my original take, but it's and slightly altered, because when I read the letter, my thought process was he didn't know what he wanted and he just was trying to figure it out, and we're on the same timetable. Now it sounds to me as though he legit has a commitment issue, or he just knows you're not the right person for him. And I know that I have dated someone before that was just not the right person for me for whatever reason. I knew he wasn't the right person for me. He did not understand that. He struggled with that and couldn't move past that. And I think that could be the situation here, because sometimes I think when someone's chasing someone, it's the chase. And then I think other people like to be chased. And you may just be in a situation where he likes to be chased and you like chasing. Like, if you caught him, would you keep him or release him?
Yeah, kind of like a dog chasing a car.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, that's fun, but what are you going to do with it once you catch it?
Yeah, once you catch it, do you want it? And I will tell you, for years, I was the queen of, I really liked to be chased. And I would make these poor men chase me. And they were good guys. Like, there was nothing wrong with these guys. There was nothing wrong with these guys. It was me having an issue with being caught. Yeah. And it didn't matter who the guy was. I'm telling you, it could have been anybody. It could have been anybody on earth. I was going to run. And if you've got a runner, you got a runner. And you don't want to run.
Well, yeah. I mean, he he pulled the whole religious card. Like, I didn't grow up with religion. Mm-hmm. I was open to it. Like, I went to Bible study. I converted for him, which I don't regret. It's just, I don't think I was being honest with my reason for it.
Yeah.
It was kind of trying to please with the intention of marriage.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
And like, to him, I just kept having to prove myself.
You had to jump through hoops.
Yeah, and it was like, I had to jump through hoops. He didn't really do anything. So it's just, I know in my heart he wasn't it for me. So he didn't really do anything in return. So I know, like, he hasn't fought for me. He hasn't really made an effort to try to win me back. He hasn't done anything in the last 2 months.
So if that's the case, so you know where it is now. You know it's not fixable, right? So this
it's
point,
more, you just have to move on.
You do. And so I got two pieces of advice for that. One is not going to fit your religious needs, and Kelly's going to disagree with it.
Okay.
Because I know Kelly. But I'm just going to be honest with you. This was my advice prior to Rick. The best way to get over one man was to get under another. I'm just going to put that out there. You do you. It did help on occasion. It does not help on all occasions. I'm not saying to always do it. I'm just saying it does help, especially if they happen to be really good at that. The other thing that I would say is you have to make sure that you have no access whatsoever to any kind of social media of his. Like, cut it off, block, do whatever it takes, change his name in your phone to don't answer this phone if you love yourself, or whatever you need to do to change it to it. And then the next thing you need to do is you need to find a hobby if you don't already have one, and immerse yourself in the hobby. And the reason I say that is, and it needs to be a hobby with men around, because you're more likely to find someone like-minded, those similar interests as you, if you're doing a hobby.
Yeah.
Whereas if you just meet some random guy that has his own interests and has a different religion and, different work schedule and just, you know what I mean? That's all. Those are just challenges you don't need. You know what I mean? So I say find a hobby, and it can be something completely out of your normal realm, or it can be something you're really comfortable with. It does not have to be a hobby that costs money. I know that years ago I had a friend that joined a group that was adventure dating or something. And it wasn't actually dates. Like everybody met up and like hung out twice a month, I think. And they would all go bar hopping, or they would all go on a day trip to the beach, or whatever they did. And that really did make a difference. And something you could do to put yourself out of your comfort zone. I don't know if you're anything like me. I'm very outgoing. But I had a friend that started a group on Facebook that was by invite only, and it was called Friends of Friends. And it was legitimately friends inviting other friends into this group. And everyone invited in was single. You didn't have to stay single to stay in the group because you still had friends. But everybody that joined had to be single. And then they would meet up and they would go to a bar or to bowl or to a game or whatever. And that was your chance to meet your friends' friends.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. And it really helped. And I'll be honest with you, I got my dad meeting people that way when my stepmom died.
Yeah, I definitely need to think of different things to try and get out of my comfort zone. Yeah. That I will meet guys. Because I did pick up the hobby.
And you can't romanticize somebody that didn't romanticize you.
Yeah.
And as long as you're pining over him, you're romanticizing him. And you're thinking of all the good things. You know what I mean? And what you need to think is, it doesn't matter how good these things are, he's not the right guy. He's just not the right guy. You know what I mean? And so,
because I've tried to spend the time, like these last 2 months, definitely trying to remind myself, as much as I do miss him, just push myself, work out. I'm trying to lose weight, I picked up the hobby of pole dancing.
Oh, okay.
I won't need a man in that class. But
but you know what, though? It will build self-esteem.
Yeah, that is going to do wonders for your self-esteem and your, just the way that you feel about yourself in general. And the more that you focus on yourself, that's just going to get better. You're going to get better physically and mentally.
I agree. Completely. Yeah. So Kelly's going to give her advice now, so I can sit down.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe how ridiculous it is for me to reach across the table.
I kind of wish we did have video already, just so people could see what you're having to do.
There's been a lot of physical comedy today.
Well, mine definitely goes alongside of yours. Is one of the biggest things whenever you're having to redirect your brain out, especially out of a 2-year relationship or any kind of relationship, doesn't matter how long it was, is how deeply you felt it. It can really affect your mental health and the way that you go about living your day. And it affects how you are with your friends. It affects how you are with your family. It affects how you feel at work. I mean, your emotional, security and your what you're going through emotionally with your relationship or getting out of a relationship, it affects a lot of assets in your life. Okay. So I'm glad that you're focusing on yourself and you're putting yourself out, getting out of your little box, and you're doing your pole dancing. And I have to say, that is so cool. I've wanted to do pole dancing classes for the longest time.
I want to do it too. I'm a little extra chubby right now.
I feel motivated now. So thank you for bringing that up. 'Cause I'm like,
fun.
But that's great. I mean, just having that outlet to where you have something that you're focusing on that's you driven. Okay. It's only going to help you out, and it's going to further, the way that you feel about yourself. And it's going to improve your mental health, and you're just going to improve your physical health. You're taking that time for yourself. That is very, very important. Also, I know that in your email, you also talked about how, you were kind of feeling like your friendships aren't where you want them to be, and your job isn't where you want it to be. How are things going? I mean, on that front for you, like, what are the problems that you're having with your friends? Is it that?
Yeah, they're definitely moving on in terms of they're mostly married, or they've been in long-term relationships for at least 5 years with their boyfriends or girlfriends, and they're having babies or starting to think about having babies. Yeah. And it's just, I'm not in that place yet. Yeah. And I'm just bored of where I am in New York. I'm in upstate New York, which is kind of the middle of nowhere. And
that's where my cousin lives now. My cousin
Yeah,
just moved upstate New York. The one that moved to New York, she just moved there in the last year. She loves it. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I've been thinking of like moving further south, and I have my cousin who agreed to, hopefully in January, we're gonna, I think, book this week to go to Austin, like sightsee, try to see if that's maybe a place that I would
to kind of get the feel of it. Yeah.
You know what? I see nothing wrong with reinventing and starting over and moving wherever you're happy moving. And I'm going to tell you one. I hope you can hear me because I'm across the table again. Let me move closer. I want to make sure you can hear me. Okay, so one thing about picking up and moving. When I got divorced, I was in Houston. I lived in Houston with because my ex-husband's family lived there. And when I got divorced, I was like, I got to get home to Dallas-Fort Worth area. Like that's where my dad is, my stepmom at the time, and my friends. All my girlfriends were here. I got to get home to my girlfriends. It was the best thing I did for myself to relocate because although I had memories of my marriage here, it wasn't the prominent thing. And I got to set new traditions and new favorite places and new everything. Everything was new. I highly recommend it. It was really good for me to do that. But you still, when you move to a new city, you have to take yourself out of your comfort and do new things. Otherwise, you'll be just sitting in a different apartment in a different city.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Because I think that's one thing I'm definitely nervous about because I am more introverted. I'm definitely not like you, Zada. I feel like, Kelly, you're probably more of an introvert.
Yes.
It seems. Yeah. So it's definitely, you have to push yourself. So I think I would have to like find those group meetups and meet people and really try not to be in my apartment all the time. And
I think that you could start your own group.
All that.
You could literally start your own group in your new city, and it could be like, you know, if you came to Texas, it could be like meet a new person from out of state needs friends. Literally, there's a ton of new people from out of state right now. We got a bunch of them, and Austin especially has a bunch of them right now. Austin is a good city because it has a really good outdoor life. Like the weather's good most of the year, so there's always something outside going on.
There's lots of things to
you
get
can
involved
walk
in.
to all kinds of things. You don't have to, you know what I mean? Like what you're used to in New York and most of Texas, you have to have a car. You have to. You
well, I
can't get
mean,
anywhere.
I have to have a car here.
Oh, you're in
anywhere
upstate.
I
You're
go.
right. You're upstate. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But my kids live in Austin, my older kids, and they don't have a car there. They left their cars here. And they Uber everywhere. So it's possible in Texas is what I'm saying. But it is, Austin is just a different breed. It is not Texas. It is.
It's Austin.
It's the capital of Texas, but it's not Texas. And I was born there, so I can say that. But it's a beautiful city, but it is nothing like the rest of Texas. But it's a really cool city.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's my understanding. Like, I definitely know Austin is more the liberal side, like the opposite of Texas.
Yes, it
and
is.
I have been very curious about the Fort Worth area because I mean, of course, I follow the Kid Craddock show.
Yeah.
But
Fort Worth is really cool. I would recommend Fort Worth over Dallas. You know, but I do think going back to what you're saying,
considered both.
No matter where you go, if you stay at home or you go somewhere or whatever you do, I think that you need to set yourself goals. And this sounds really juvenile and silly, but when I was really painfully shy growing up, believe it or not, painfully shy. And I was middle child of loud children, you know, and my mom was loud. Everybody was loud. So I was the quiet one, and I was right in the middle. And so I was going into 8th grade, the summer between 7th and 8th grade. I remember this very, very clearly. I would go to church camp in Arkansas, and I was like the most popular girl to church camp. Like, everybody loved me. Everybody. I'd go to school, and nobody would talk to me. Like, night and day. Like, night and day. And I can remember thinking, I need more friends. I want to get invited to parties. I want to be in on the inside jokes. I want to have a social life. You know what I mean? High school's coming up, and I want to be ready for it. And I literally made the decision to start my first day of 8th grade with a different attitude and to be more outgoing. And that I had to say hi to 5 new people a day. I made that rule. And I did. 5 people I'd never spoken to a day, I would speak to. And it was like I would challenge myself to speak to 5 different types of people. So it might be the most popular girl in the class. It might be what we used to call then thugs. I don't know what they call them now, but they were smoking cigarettes in 8th grade, okay? So I would try to talk to everybody, and it made a huge difference in my social skills, my self-esteem. Yes, some people blew me off. Yes, some people did not want to interact with me. Definitely, everybody did not like me. But that core group of women, the group of women that you hear me bringing on all these podcasts that are in all my pictures, those women are women I met in 8th grade, 7th grade. Like, those are my core group of friends I met that year. And
I love that.
And I mean, and I'm 47, so it's been a minute, and so it is very, very possible for you to change anything that you want to change. You're the master of your life. And he sounds like he's in the past now. He's old news. And so really your challenge is you. Your challenge is you living your best life for you. He's old. He's gone. So
bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And so now you got to make goals for yourself. It's not about goals about getting over him. It's about goals about making yourself the best you that you want to be. So if you want friends, you want hobbies, you want a social life, you want all that, make that your goal and everything else will fall into place. Work on you.
Yep.
And I reinvented myself when I got divorced. I tell the stories all the time. I literally night and day. I stopped living for everybody else and I started living for myself. I still mess up. I often make mistakes.
Yep, that's exactly what I feel like I've been doing for a few years. I've just been kind of stuck in upstate, just living for my friends. Like, I've been staying here for them in hopes every few weekends I might hang out with them. And it's just like, why?
Yeah, no.
I want to have fun.
Yeah, you need to. And make a new group of friends. And make friends that are available to you. And make time for you. And, I have girlfriends I don't see very often because they're married or they live on the other side of the world or whatever the case is. And we can get together and be like it was yesterday. And like we talked every day, like it doesn't skip a beat, you know what I mean? But then I have other girlfriends like Kelly that I see almost on a daily basis. And it doesn't skip a beat. And it's okay to have different kinds of friends. But if you're always the friend reaching out, then it's time to make different friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your girlfriends should be somebody that you can tell anything to. And if you can't tell them anything, they're not as good a friend as you think they are.
Yep.
Because my girlfriends and I are like, we're stupid.
Important thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm telling you, we will tell. My friend Mary will put me in my place so fast. I mean, like, I'll be like, this is what I did. Da-da-da-da. You dummy. What is wrong with you? But I can tell her, even if she's giving me a hard time, it's from the heart and it's not judgmental. It is love. It is her helping me. And I do the same for her. And that's what friends do. They give hard truths, but they also are loving and they show up. So if your friends aren't showing up, it is time to make new friends. And 33 is not too young to make new friends because I got divorced at 31 and reinvented myself. I'm at 47. And you would not believe the difference between me then and me now. I'm unrecognizable, to be honest with you, in all aspects.
Yeah.
And I was outgoing-ish, but I had it beaten out of me for a few years, not physically, but you know what I mean, mentally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it came back, and it can come back for you, and you know what I mean? Like, I know it's hard for some women to make good girlfriends.
Yeah.
And but I know that there's good women out there too, and I think a lot of women are just scared because they had one incident, and I don't like girls.
Yeah, I feel like we have a bad rep usually.
Definitely. And that's why I always talk about my girlfriends. That's why I always talk about how awesome they are because they have pulled me from the depths of hell out of it and held my hand and took care of me. And I do the same for them. And those are the friends you need. And they don't have to be lifelong friends. Kelly and I have known each other like about 5 years.
Yeah.
And, we decided to be friends. Yeah. Literally.
Yeah. And so you're already it sounds like you're already on your way to doing a lot of things that are helping you, and even writing to the podcast and letting us call you, and those are all great steps in becoming more social and reaching out to different groups, and being able to get out there more. And also, what was I going to say earlier? When you were talking about making new friends, it was so funny. That reminded me of a conversation I had today at the Boys and Girls Club. One of the girls was talking about an older gentleman. I think it's in her family, like her grandpa or something, and she said something about him and his friends, and she's like, he's 70 something. How? And I was like, you don't expect 72-year-olds to have friends? You don't think when you get that old you're just not gonna have friends? And she's like, no. I was like, no, you should never stop wanting to make friends, like and reaching out to people and growing, and because why would you just want, you can't just have 5 friends and then if y'all end up not being friends or moving away or whatever, losing touch, and then just not going to have any more friends. Like, yeah, you got to keep making friends. Like 72-year-olds want to have friends and do things just like, a 20-year-old would want to. Right. And another thing with the, when you were talking about, you kind of lived for your friends and hoping that you could, hang out on, whenever is able to. That's great. But also, you want to push yourself to become that friend that's doing that fun thing that other people want to join. That is the truth. Yeah. And and that's for me too. It's very difficult for me to sometimes get out of my comfort zone, to reach out and be the one who stimulates a conversation, to be the one who makes the plan. But I've gotten a lot better at that. And I've noticed that I make plans for me now. Like, and it might be, to go and hang out with a friend, or, to do this, but I make plans to do fun things that I want to do. And then people want to join in on my plans, and that feels good. Yeah. To be the plan maker, and right. And even if nobody does go with you, to still live for you and do the fun things that you want to do, and you will start collecting more people, because people will see that drive in you, and they will see, she's fun and she knows how to have fun. She knows who she is. Or she knows, or maybe she doesn't, but she's getting out there, and some people are not going to be nice about it. Some people are going to be, oh my God, who does she think she is? Oh, and yeah, there's always those. That's also okay. Yeah, that's when you're doing something right.
One of my coworkers, I'd say she's in her mid-50s, because she's a parent to like a 35-year-old. So it's safe to say, but she heard I've been talking about the pole dancing, and it motivated her to want to try it with me. And I was like, if you lived here, I'd be all over it. I'm not gonna lie. I'd be like, I'm in. And I was like, my 30-year-old friends are too boring to even. I've asked them if they wanted to do it with me, and they won't even. But I'm like, I'd love to do it with you. So that is cool.
I think oftentimes the early 30s are the hardest age, because your body changes, your hormones are changing, but also your wants are changing, your goals are changing, and your friends are all aligning with it. But that's okay, because that's when you meet older people and you realize that older people are cool too. And
they are.
I mean, you don't have to stay within your age group. There's no women my age, we've lost all control. We don't even know. We're just mouthing off and biting people. I don't know. I got a coworker at work that she's like 6 years behind me, 7 years behind. She's 7 years younger than me. And she's starting perimenopause, which I've been going through. And she was like, Zada, you kept telling me you almost were ready to bite people. I'm there. I'm ready to bite.
I've reached that stage.
Oh, God. Oh, I'm not looking forward to that.
But that's the good thing about friends and friends of different ages.
Yeah, because you get different perspectives.
You get different perspectives.
You learn more lessons.
Absolutely. I mean, makes a world of difference. I think you're on the right road, and I understand why you're scared and this is changing, but I don't think he's your problem. I think he was your problem.
And you got rid of that problem.
And you got rid of it. I don't think he was the right guy.
It's definitely a blessing. It ended.
Yeah.
And I know that.
Because otherwise you could waste 5 more years chasing him. For what?
Yep.
For what?
Yeah, I think my mom's happy about it. I think she's...
That's good.
That's the real filter right there. That's the filter.
She's thrilled. So yeah, I know it's meant to be. That
Well, good.
in 5 years, I'll be laughing about it. I keep telling my friend who also just ended it with like a loser as well. And we keep telling each other that in 5 years, we're going to be with our husbands, hopefully, and hopefully maybe a family that we're starting. And we're going to be saying, thank God it did not work out with those losers, because we would be miserable or like
You'd
on
probably
our way to a
divorced.
divorce.
Yeah, probably be divorced.
Yep.
You're skipping the first marriage and going straight to the second one, and that's a really good route.
Really it is.
Yeah.
You just saved yourself a divorce.
Yeah, you really did. You
Yeah.
saved yourself money and time. I mean, for real. I think what we should do is touch base with you again in a month, and let's talk in a month about what you've done in this month.
And how your pole dancing is going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting better.
Yeah.
We're
And
definitely going to have to lip sync something.
I'm not even
And we're going to
joking.
have to go and do this.
I would do
and
it.
I'm going to tell you, Nicole, I'm going to email you once we finally go to our first pole dancing class.
I mean, what's the weight limit?
I don't think there is one.
I'm perimenopausal right now. I'm a little fluffy. I mean, it's there. Is what I'm
Okay,
saying.
it's so worth it. Look into classes near you.
I will. I don't know that they
It's
offer them
tons
in
of fun.
Waxahachie.
Yeah,
we may
probably
have
not.
to leave the county,
I think they do it in Dallas. I think I've heard that
I'm
before.
sure they have. I'm sure they do. Yeah.
Thank
So,
you for planting that seed with us.
I know.
We're going to look into
I
that.
love it.
Well, I spend most of the class just like watching the instructor.
Yeah.
Her body. I'm just, and she already has a kid. And I'm just like, how do you look better than me?
Well, you know, that is hard work. Pole dancing
Yes.
is not easy. That's
Yeah.
a upper body strength like crazy, which I have none of.
Yeah. It's amazing.
It is crazy. Yeah, I have nothing but respect. I watch it on TikTok. I have been on pole dance TikTok before, and because I like, there's a bunch of ladies on there that get on there and dance, and they're fully clothed, and they're stunning.
Yeah.
They're stunning. I'm
Yeah.
just amazed. I mean, that's truly hard work. I don't think I could do it, but I'll try. I'll try anything.
That's what I want to hear, Zada.
I will try.
That's what
We'll
I want to
go.
hear.
We'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah, we do.
All right. And in a month, you let us know how it goes. I want you to make yourself
Yeah.
goals, okay? So I'm not going to make your goals
Yes.
for you, but let's give yourself just 2 goals to accomplish for a month. So
Okay.
2 goals. I'm going to let you make your own. You don't have to say what they are. I want you to think about them. And you can
Okay.
message me what they are, and then so we know. But I would make 2 goals. One goal should be to take yourself out of your comfort zone. Just out of your comfort zone. Try something new. The other goal should be to set plans in place to make the next step in life. So, like you said, you're going to plan a trip. Plan the trip,
Yep.
and then you can tell us all about the trip, and you can tell us where you took yourself out of your comfort your comfort zone, and see how that gets you. I think though that if you do move to a new city, or you can make the most of it there, if you can do it there. But I think that you're going to have to make your own personal life and control it. So one thing that I did, I hope you can hear me across this table.
Yeah, I can.
One thing that I did recently, about a year ago, and if you were following me, then you saw this, but we did the Moo-Moos and Mimosas. And I don't know if you remember that. It was about a year and a half ago.
It was so much fun.
But I just had a Moo-Moos and Mimosas thing here at Al's restaurant bar, and women just showed up in Moo-Moos, if you know what that is, big, ugly gowns.
They don't have to
Yeah,
be ugly.
yeah.
They're just big,
No.
overly sized.
That's true. Mine was pretty fabulous. I'm not
We
gonna
had
lie.
a couple of pretty fabulous
Yeah, the
ones.
one that you had that was also mine. Fabulous. And we dressed up in Moo-Moos, and which are not attractive on, and that was
they
the
give
goal.
you no shape.
Nothing. And mimosas. And I will tell you that we had a number of women show up, but I also had probably as many women show up message me saying how bad they wanted to come. And 2 had actually ordered Moo-Moos off of Amazon, and they could not bring themselves to leave their house looking silly.
Yep. They couldn't get out of that comfort zone.
They could not get out of that comfort zone.
Ugh,
So meanwhile, here we
I would
are.
have gone.
It was so fun, and you know, it was just good. You know, some of the ladies that came just really don't get out of the house a lot, and so it was a lot of fun for them. We had one friend drive in from Oklahoma, which is like she had like a 4-hour drive, you know, for it, and it was just like a 2-hour cocktail hour. You know, she drove 4 hours for it. And we just laughed and had fun and, you know, had some mimosas and just, you know, got out of the house looking silly and laughing a lot. And so that might be something, I'm not saying do moo-moos and mimosas, but that's what I'm saying, when take yourself out of your comfort zone. So the pole dancing, awesome.
Yeah.
So let's pick a second thing, because that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I'm not even going to one-up.
I mean, I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty impressed with that. But pick one other thing. And you know, and I will say, I personally am not a big fan of dating apps. I don't feel like anyone is, well, I take that back. Not anyone. I know people that have met people on dating apps that have gotten married. But
I mean, they're tough.
I think it's more of a hookup situation. And if you're looking for somebody, I think you need to find them through a hobby, the grocery store, a friend of a friend, church, whatever your interest lies in. You know what I mean? I will say that I was making a lot of mistakes in relationships after my divorce. I didn't know what I wanted or who I wanted or what type of man I wanted. I just knew what I didn't want at that point. And so after a few failed relationships, and honestly, it was me running. I was like the queen of, oh, you like me a lot? We need to break up.
Yep.
And so right before I met Rick, I made myself a list, and I was like, what am I looking for? What am I looking for? This is what I'm looking for. And I made a list of everything that I was looking for. And then I made a list of everything that my mom and my brother wanted for me.
Yeah.
I really did. Now, I have my dad, and I love my dad, but he could care less. My brother and my mom had a different emotion, and they're not both now passed, but they were both still alive at this time. And I ran the list past them. I was like, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I need. And they were like throwing ideas in on my dad. And that's what I found. I mean, that is what I found. and some things he does, I'm like, this was not on my list. But it was
like
on
the camo bed.
Like the camo bed. But I'm pretty sure it was on my brother's.
You didn't have a camo bed on your list?
I know, it's weird. Y'all are going to laugh so hard. I'm going to post a picture of this today. Kelly knows this. I make my bed pretty much every day. I love to come home to a made bed.
I do too.
Clean room.
I do too.
Feels
That's
good, right?
The first thing I do when I get out of bed is make it.
Yes, and so I usually make the bed since Rick's been living there. And when he lived on his own, he always made his own bed too. So I did not realize this might be a situation because he makes his own bed. And so sometimes he gets up later than me. Most days he gets late. He gets up early too, but I'll get up, go make breakfast, and he'll get up and go take a shower. And this is like 4 a.m. And then we'll switch spots, and he'll go eat and I'll go shower. Well, he's in construction. So it was raining today, so he didn't have to work. And so he wasn't getting out of bed. And so I was about to leave, and I was like, hey, make the bed for me, please. Because I make it when I'm done with breakfast. He was like, okay. I was like, all right, no big deal. He always makes his own bed at home, his old home.
Didn't make the bed, did he?
He made it.
Oh.
And I took a picture of it because it's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. I was like, this is what you thought was made. So tomorrow on Facebook and Instagram, there will be a before and after picture of the bed. I was waiting to post it until I made it the way I make it compared to how he did it.
Oh, this is going to be good.
And note the color of the bedding and who won. There is no camo. Let me just put that out there.
I'm so proud. I'm so proud.
Bless his heart. Bless his heart. We're praying for him. Anyways, Nicole, thank you for joining us, and we will have you back in a month.
Thank you so much.
Would you like to drop any of your information?
I don't know if she wants to. She told me
I like
personal.
to ask. I like to ask if people want to drop their information.
I don't even
Like
know
your-
what it is.
Or your Instagram, or
It's up to you if you don't want
It is
to.
Nicole Monica 11.
Nicole Monica.
It's 11 on Instagram. All right, we got it. Okay, Nicole.
On Instagram only. I don't even.
That
You
you're
see others.
Kelly. You're Kelly.
Hey, I knew we were 2 peas in a pod over
Okay,
here. Because
I-
I'm 33 too.
Yeah, y'all are
We're
very
the same
similar.
age.
I'm writing right now in my notes to call Nicole and what will be about a month episode. So we're going to call you, and we're checking in, all right?
Yes.
Be ready.
Great.
We're
all right?
friends now. Get on board.
And if you want to take pictures, that's even more awesome.
Yeah.
Again, thank you so much, ladies.
Well,
I'm
thank
so happy
you.
we spoke.
No, we're glad to. And anytime, please. We love talking to you.
All right. Have a great night.
Thank you.
You
You
too.
too.
Bye-bye, Nicole.
Bye.
Bye.
That was fun. She was so sweet.
Yes, I really like her. She's
I
sweet.
did too. And you know what? Pole dancing. I'm so proud of her.
I am too, man. And that just relit that fire of wanting to do that.
I did not even see that coming.
And I didn't either. And I like it.
I was like, hell yeah, she's pole dancing. You know what needs to happen when she comes down to Austin? We need to make a little day trip.
Yeah. We should totally do that. We're going to surprise her.
Yeah, we totally should. Take a little day trip and drop off in Coyote and make her get on the bar with Zoe.
Yeah, that'd be great.
My daughter's one of the managers at the Coyote Ugly.
Getting out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
We're going to put you up on the bar.
Yeah, get up there. We're going to dance. And then Zoe's even worse because she'll be egging it on.
Oh, yeah.
She makes me look quiet, y'all. Scary. I don't know how that happened. Anyway, so we've almost made an hour. We had Nicole in here for a long time. So this is supposed to be our Halloween episode. We're going to release this episode just a few days before Halloween. And so we decided to tell a few little ghost stories. Mm-hmm. If you don't believe in ghosts, that's fine. You can just listen to it and enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
If you do believe in ghosts, you can get a little scared.
I love it.
So Kelly and I have not shared our ghost stories with each other, so we'll see how this goes. Mine ties in a little bit to my history in Austin. I've talked about before on this podcast and the other one about how I lived in Austin in the 70s. I was born in Austin. And when we lived there, my godmother, one of my two godmothers, they lived in this beautiful home. And if you would like to research it, it is the Sneed Plantation Home. SNEED, Sneed Plantation Home in Austin, Texas. And it was obviously a plantation home. It's one of few plantation homes in Austin. There really weren't very many of them. It's one of the few. Mr. Sneed that owned it had slave quarters and slaves, and there's a huge history of slavery on there. Although when you read articles and stuff, I actually read an interview of one of his slaves. They interviewed a slave.
Oh, wow.
He was a freeman at that point.
Yeah.
I think that he was a slave until it's been a minute since I read it. He was probably about 18. And his whole family was there and they freed him and they stayed. He gave them the choice, I guess, of staying and he paid them.
Yeah.
I don't know. They all stayed there. Mm-hmm. Well, not all, but a lot. I think almost every one of them stayed there. But, obvious reasons where you're going to go.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying they were happy. But anyways, they mainly stayed there. So fast forward to the 1970s, and all these hippies live in this house. Mm-hmm. And it is a 2-story home with a 3rd floor attic. It is made out of massive rock, like massive rock. I'll post pictures too. I've already got pictures, but I'll post them so y'all can find them of this home. And at some point, they used the 3rd floor as an infirmary for soldiers, and not all made it. And one of the children that grew up in the house passed away, had caught like tuberculosis or something from the soldiers or somebody, and had died in the house. There was a lot of death in the house.
Yeah.
And so when we used to go there all the time. I mean, I was there almost every day. The people that lived in it that I knew were antique dealers. Mm. So all through the house were antiques, and they were like covered by sheets. The whole 2nd floor was antiques covered in sheets. They did not use the 2nd floor. It was too hard to heat it and cool it.
Yeah.
So the only room upstairs they used was the one tiny room that they could heat, and it was off the attic. The door to the attic was in that room, and you would take like a few steps up, and there was a door opening up to more steps into the attic. It wasn't like a thing you pulled down back then. It was stairs.
Yeah.
So when we would go and we'd have to stay in that room because they could easily heat it, cool it, It was the scariest damn place I've ever been in my life to this day. I hated it. All night long, you could hear things in the attic. All night long. So bad that my mom started packing us earmuffs when we went.
Wow.
And my brother and I would sleep with earmuffs on because we couldn't sleep and we'd cry.
Oh, my gosh.
Right. It was terrifying. And
did you not hear these things from the 1st floor?
No.
Oh.
No. Only at the 2nd floor. Only in that room because the attic door was right there.
I just got the chills.
Yes. It was scary as hell. I'm not going to lie. So we'd always hear these stories, and everyone talked about how they saw a ghost. They saw this. And this is the 70s, but there's an outhouse. There's no running bathroom. There's no toilet.
Yeah.
So if you want to go to the bathroom, you have to go. That's why they lived there. They were caretakers, technically not renters.
Yeah.
The house was so outdated that they could not rent it. Oh. So they just basically got to live there for free if they took care of the place. Kept squatters. I don't know. So you had to go to the outhouse to go to the bathroom, and we would just pee off the back porch if it was nighttime because you had to walk through the cemetery to get to the outhouse. Oh my God. I'm not kidding. You had to walk through a cemetery to get to the outhouse.
Yeah, I would definitely not be doing that.
I went there for years. I maybe used that outhouse twice. I was like, I will pee in the woods. I will pee anywhere but here. and I'll hold it for the rest of my life before I'll go there. So one of the incidents that happened, there's many. I could go on and on about this house, but one of the incidents that happened in this house was that me and all the little kids my age, and there was a bunch of us, like there were probably 7 of us that day, and my brother was with us, and we're sitting in the downstairs was just a few big rooms. Like back then, you just had a bunch of big rooms, you know? So you'd walk in and you'd be in, I guess what you would call the living room. I don't know what they called it back then, but it's the living room. And then there was the bedroom behind it, and then to the left was what probably was a parlor, like a sitting parlor originally, but they turned it into the children's bedroom because they had so many children, so they just put like 3 sets of bunk beds in there, and it was massive. It was a massive room. It was the size of what some people's downstairs of their houses are right now, but it was one room. So the kids and I are all playing in there, and we're all doing different things. We're all in different parts of the room, like doing things, you know, and so we're all playing whatever, and I swear to you, this little girl walks through the room, clear as day, walks through the room and just walks in one door and out the other. There's 2 entrances, one by the front door and one going to the back door, and just walks through the room. And the kids that live in the house don't blink an eye. They are not fazed. This is not a big deal. They're used to it. They know her name. Zola and I lose our shit.
Oh my God.
We lose our shit. We are hysterical. We run screaming out of the room, and we're like, we got to go right now. We didn't run screaming immediately. We waited till she left.
Oh, yeah.
Because I can remember thinking, I don't want to be the one she notices.
Yeah, I'm not going to set her off.
No. She looked cute. She's cute. She didn't look scary, except she was freaking see-through like-ish, or whatever you call it. I'm like 4 at the time, so Zol's like 6. But the oldest kid in the room was probably 10. Like, it was all ages of children.
Oh, my goodness.
They were not fazed. And Zola and I lost our minds, and we would not go back to the house for months. Like, we were scared to death. And after that's when my mom put we had to start wearing the headsets when we slept. It was so scary. My stepbrother wouldn't step in the house the first few times that he went to it. He was like, hell no. There's something going on here. So fast forward many years later, like 3 years ago, right after the pandemic, Zoe moves back to Austin she stayed with me during the pandemic for a few months, and then she moved back to Austin, my oldest child. She gets there, and, you know, she has to find a new place to live. And so a friend of hers needs a roommate. So she was like, yeah, I got an apartment already. My roommate's moving out. You want to move in? Yes, I'll move in. She moves in with this girl. She's there about 2 months. She calls me, and she was like, Mom, do you know where my apartments are built? There used to be a plantation home on these grounds. And I was like, what? Because there's really not many plantation homes in Austin. I'm like, what do you mean? What's the name of the plantation home? She was like, the Sneed Plantation. I looked it up. I was like, you did what? She goes, yeah, I ordered sushi. The sushi guy came to deliver it and couldn't find the apartments and said he's staring at an old burned down house. And his thing was telling him it's the Sneed Plantation. And so she goes, so when he delivered it to me and he told me, I told him, oh yeah, I know what burned down house you're talking about. I'm right behind it. So he delivers her food, and he goes, yeah, it's called the Sneed Plantation. Blah, blah, blah. So he leaves, and she's bored and Googles it. It's the freaking Sneed Plantation.
Oh my God.
Now, when I lived in Austin, it was in the country. You had to drive like 20 minutes out of town to get to this plantation.
Yeah.
It is now right in the smack middle of Austin.
Everything's grown up around
the
it.
Ferrari dealership or Lamborghini, one of those two, is across the street from it.
Wow.
Like, it's in the middle of Austin. And so I was like, what the hell are the chances that my daughter moves onto the property that I grew up on in Austin? I mean, I have more memories there than any other childhood home, and I didn't even live there, you know? But I was there all the time. She was my babysitter, my nanny, my mom's best friend. Anytime we need to go somewhere, that's where we went, you know? And scared to death of it, but we had to go. And so I was like, what are the freaking chances that's what it is?
I know.
So, small world. But my other little ghost story is about Zoe as well, because Zoe, throughout her life, has had people say that they see things around her or near her, people that do see things. Zoe does not see things, but she has people say all the time they see it around her. She never sees anything. So now mind you, my kids are very native. Their dad is Tlingit Indian. They're Canadian Indian. But their grandmother is half, so they got a lot of blood. And their great grandmother used to always tell me all these crazy things that go in line with what I'm saying. And so it's ironic to hear it coming from Zoe's friends that don't know her great-grandmother's stories.
Yeah.
You know, who I did know. And so one of the things was the house we live in now is 100 years old, but the house I lived in before this one was about 105. So it was a little bit older, and it's just right down the street from the house I'm in now.
You have a thing for older houses.
I prefer an older house over a newer one, what they look like. But also we live in Waxahachie, which is the gingerbread capital. It's all gingerbread homes. Like well, not all, not anymore, but we're known for our homes being these cute little gingerbread homes. So I prefer those. Mm-hmm. I like to live in the historic area. So this home was much bigger than the house that I'm in now because I had all my kids at home at the time. And so when you used to walk in the front door, you'd walk into the pool table room, and I had a pool table, and it was like, I guess, the game room. And then you would walk into this massive hallway I had. It was massive. And then Zoe's room was one direction, and the living room was the other direction. And so Zoe had her friends come over, and all her best friends graduated the year before her. So the year that she was a senior, they were always going to do these cool things she couldn't always do because she was still in high school. Well, they were going to all go to a club in Dallas, and then after the club, they were going to come and stay the night at our house in Waxahachie, and then they were going to go to Austin to ACL, which is Austin city limits. Mm-hmm. It's a big thing. It's a big thing, big music thing. So they were going to go there. So her best friend Amaris and her friend Tyler, one of her best friends Tyler, and I don't remember who the other guy was. They're going to come and stay the night at my house, and then they're going to get up super early and go to ACL the next day. Zoe is already asleep in bed. And so they get there late at night. Tyler and his buddy go in and get on the couch in the living room and on one side of the house. And then Amaris goes into Zoe's room, and she's going to sleep next to Zoe. So she goes in there. The house is 100 years old. So there's no lights on and off. There's light switches, but there's also the little click cord things. Yeah. And so she goes to turn the light switch on. The light didn't come on. So she was like, okay. So she goes over and clicks the cord. It won't turn on. And she's left the light switch on. So she was like, why isn't this coming on? Yeah. So she goes to the lamp. She turns the lamp on next to the bed. When she gets the lamp on next to the bed, she screams bloody murder because she swears there is a man floating over Zoe. Nope. And she screams at the top of her lungs. And she says, Zoe does not flinch. Does not flinch. So she's like kicking at Zoe and kicking at the bed and screaming. And Zoe never wakes up or moves. Oh my God. So by now, Tyler and his friend are freaking out. So they run out of the house. All three of them leave. And they sleep in the car down the road. Oh. They weren't even sleeping in front of the house. Oh and they leave us. I'm at the house.
So you didn't know at the time that happened?
No, because that house was shaped really weird, and I was on the other side of the house, so I didn't hear it. And it was a big house. So, no, we didn't find out till the next day when she woke up and they weren't there, and she called them, and they were like, hell no, we're not going back in that house. We're not going back in that house. And I don't think Amaris ever came back in the house. And that's her best friend, best friend. So I'm like, oh, my gosh. Well, then fast forward. It's around the same time, all in the same time period, right? We are, I buy a pulpit, an old pulpit. Did we talk about this before?
This is the only one that you have told me.
Okay. I didn't think it was on the podcast, though.
No, it wasn't. You just told me.
Okay. So I bought a pulpit, an antique pulpit. I used to flip furniture a lot, like, fix it and sell it. And I had like a little antique store thing. And so I bought this really cool old pulpit. And the reason I bought it was because it had this face on the front of it that was scary as hell looking. Like someone had hand carved a wooden face that looked like it was damning you to hell, basically. And I just thought it was really good artwork. Like it was cool.
Interesting thing to put on a pulpit.
I thought so. I thought so too. That's why I bought it. So, and my other plan for it was I was going to make it into a wet bar for the pool room.
Very nice.
So I had a little corner that was perfect for it. So I'm going to go there and I was going to fix it up and make it into a wet bar. I do not feel like the man's face cared for that idea because I started having weird shit happen in the house. And it would be like lights. Like, for example, Zoe's little boyfriend at the time, her little high school boyfriend used to house sit for us if I went out of town. And so he was my go-to house sitter, right? He house sat all the time, took care of my animals. He'd stay the night while we were gone, whatever. So we go out of town. He's house sitting, and this is at that time. He comes in the house, turns on the lights he needs, feeds the animals, and he would like stay the night. He would hang out, whatever. And he was going to stay the night this time. And so he gets across the house, and he's turning on lights as he goes because it's a really old house. You can't see if you don't. So he's turning on lights as he's going, and he gets across the house, and he starts pouring the food and water, and the lights start turning off in succession across the house. So he's in the back of the house and he sees the pool room light off. and then off goes the next light, and then off goes the next light until it gets to him.
Oh, no.
And so he's like, what the hell's going on?
Oh my gosh.
But it's a 100 years old house. So he's thinking there's an issue with the breaker. And he's also in high school and doesn't understand that would make them all go out at one time. So he is like, what? So he finishes and he's like, that's weird. So he goes back in and starts turning on lights thinking the breaker's out and they're not going to turn back on, but they're turning back on. He's like, the hell just happened, you know? So he gets there across the house, has lit the whole house back up. He starts walking back to the back of the house, click, 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 as he walks.
Nope.
He got the hell out of that house. He was like, I didn't even.
Out the first.
He called me. He goes, I didn't even lock the door. Ain't nobody going in that house. No, and I will never go back in that house again. You need to come home early so someone can feed your dog.
Oh my god.
I was like, what? You know? Well, this is when the pulpit was in the house. Well, then Rick comes over to pick me up for a date, and he comes to the front door, and I had like a screen door I would lock. So the cat, he liked to hang out at the door and talk to his cat friends, feral cat friends. So I'd leave it locked so he could visit. And so I have the door open, screen door locked, and I'm getting ready. So I didn't have a doorbell. House is old. So Rick's knocking on the door. I come to the door. I'm almost there. He's like, what the hell? You got another dog? Did you really get another dog? I was like, no, I don't have another dog. What are you talking about? I just have Betty. And nope. I just saw a black dog. Looks just like Betty, but it's black. I just saw a black dog. There's a black dog in your house. I was like, there is not a black dog in my house. Yes, there is. I just saw it run down the hallway to the back of the house. I was like, he goes, right in front of you, right before you came to the door, a black dog just ran down your hallway. I was like, no, it did not. He comes in looking for the black dog. I'm like, there is not a black dog in this house.
Oh my gosh.
So we're getting out of here. We're leaving. We leave. I'm like, whatever. I'm thinking he's crazy, you know? So then we have a few other incidents happen. So I call my friend I bought the pulpit from. I'm like, come and get this freaking pulpit. Like, we'll burn it to the ground. I need this out of my house. I feel like there's something bad coming out of this pulpit. So she was like, okay. So she calls me back. She goes, I'm coming to pick it up, but will you talk to so-and-so? This guy she knows who I know too. We were all in the antique business at the same time.
Yeah.
Call him. He wants the pulpit, but he wants you to tell him the stories first. I was like, all right. So I call him and tell him the stories. I'm like, I don't know if you want this pulpit. Like, there's something going on with this. And so he was like, yes, I want it. So he takes it.
He wants all the paranormal
He wants
activity.
it. He wants it. He does not tell his wife. So he gets the pulpit home. Within a week, she has made him take it outside and burn it to the ground.
Oh my gosh.
And it was like $200 to buy this pulpit. Like, it wasn't a cheap one. And I looked it up. It was worth more than that. The guy that built it was a renowned pulpit builder.
Oh.
But, I mean, we were all in antiques, so we were into that stuff.
Yeah.
She made him burn it to the ground in front of her. She was like, not playing with this. So, fast forward, Zoe's little black dog story. I had a black dog when Zoe was born that looked just like Betty, but black, and his name was Bob. And I loved Bob. He was a fantastic little dog, little rat terrier. And the way that this dog was described, he sounded just like Bob. I was like, maybe that's Bob's ghost. Maybe he's hanging out with us. Weird. So Zoe goes off to LSU, and she's got her college roommates and everything. And her roommate's like, yeah, do y'all know that there's a ghost dog that follows Zoe around? I was like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? She was like, yeah, there's a ghost dog. It lives in the house with her. She doesn't see it, but we do.
Oh my God.
There's a black dog, and it goes in her room and out of her room and all the time. We all see it. She just doesn't. But there is a black dog that lives in this house, and this is what it looks like. God. And pulls up a picture of the damn dog that looks just like Betty, which looks like, not Betty, Bob, but looks like the one that Rick described.
Uh-huh.
And Zoe's like, yeah, no, I know I got a dog, but I can't see it. But everyone tells me.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, what the hell?
If I was Zoe, I would not know how to deal with
She's
all
not
that.
bothered by it because she can't see it.
Oh my God.
But then she moves to Austin onto the Sneed plantation, and that roommate is like, hey, did you know that you got a black dog following you around? Do you know you have a black dog ghost? And she was totally in tune with the fact it was a ghost. No one had to tell her.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And by the way, these girls that I'm talking about all listen to the podcast. So they're going to laugh when they hear the story. But they do all listen to the podcast. But true story. So those are my ghost stories. I could tell more, but those are the ones that have made the most impression, and I have witnesses.
That's a good one.
So
those are good.
Well, thank you. Happy Halloween, y'all.
Okay. Well, I have just one that I'm going to share. I don't have a lot of paranormal activity. I don't see it. It never really happens to me. Not that I, don't believe that it can happen, but I'm just never
Yeah.
one that witnesses it really.
Right. Why lie?
But I do have one instant, and I didn't know it at the time, but it really messed with me after the fact, and I'll explain it. So I was spending the night at a guy friend's house, and we were sleeping in the same bed, but just going to sleep. Okay, yeah, some people can do that.
Yeah.
And so go to bed, and I'm asleep, and I get woken up by something jumping on the foot of the bed, and it felt like a cat. Something that jumped up on the foot of the bed, because
Right.
you could feel like it wasn't heavy. You could feel like the little feet. And so I just assumed, because I'd never been to this person's house before, first time, I didn't know. And so I just, in my head, I'm like, oh,
They got a cat.
That was the cat. And so I'm like, oh, I kind of like kick, so it moves off of my feet. And then I go in, and I could feel it move
Off your
away.
feet, yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, fine. So I just go back to bed. And then I think it did it again at some point and woke me up again. And then the next morning, we get to talking, and says something about, how do I sleep or whatever. And I was like, oh, it's fine, except for your cat woke me up, jumped on the foot of the bed and woke me up. And he's like, I don't have a cat. I'm like, well, a small dog? He's like, no, I don't have any.
Rat?
I don't have any animals in the house. And I'm like, okay, well, it's time for me to leave.
Yeah.
And I never went back.
I understand. That's crazy.
So that's mine. It didn't scare me at the time, but it definitely scared me after the fact that I
bet.
knew there wasn't anything in that house that
It
could
didn't
jump
make
on
any
the end of the
sense.
bed and
Yeah.
walk around. So that
I don't know if this is technically a ghost or I don't know, maybe it's spiritual, but it reminded me. That just reminded me. My stepmom, her mom passed away my senior year of high school. Like literally her funeral was the day of my high school graduation. And my stepmom and I were very, very close. And her mom had a difficult relationship. And she wasn't the favorite all the time. She was a little wild compared to her sister. And anyways, I think sometimes when you lose somebody that you're not at the best point with in life, sometimes it's hard, you maybe mourn them a little bit more because you weren't in the best spot, So when her mom passed away, she really struggled with it. And I mean, really struggled with it. And got to the point she stopped sleeping. So she couldn't sleep. And she went literally 5 days with no sleep. None. Not more than 30 minutes for 5 days. Could not sleep. And was really struggling with it. And so she finally just had enough. And, she lays down and she's like, God, I have got to go to sleep. Mom, I need sleep. Help me sleep, Mom. Please. Do whatever it takes. I need some sleep. And so she said she laid down and went into the deepest sleep she had ever slept. And she said that she woke up an hour into her deep sleep, and her mom was standing at the foot of the bed, and her mom was telling her, you need to stop worrying. I love you. We're in a good place. There's no reason for you to have all these emotions and these feelings. We're in a good spot. I want you to sleep, get some rest. You need to be healthy. Go to sleep and sleep good. And so she wakes my dad up. My stepmom does. She's like, my mom is standing at the foot of the bed. Do you see my mom? And my dad, who doesn't believe in God, is not religious, does not believe in ghosts, does not believe in any of these things. I mean, he might believe in God now and not mention it, but he's never, I don't think he does. And my dad says, yeah, I see her plain as day. Hey, Gloria, what are you doing? She's like, well, she needs to go to sleep. She needs to sleep good. Dad's like, I know. I've been telling her. She needs to go to sleep. He was like, all right. She was like, all right, y'all go to sleep. They both, that's their last memory of it. They're both out. They both wake up in the morning, and Cindy feels like she's slept a million years, and she feels amazing, and my dad has slept amazing. And Cindy turns to my dad, and she was like, did I dream? She didn't even get to finish it. No, Cindy, it was real. I saw her too.
Wow.
And she never mourned anymore. It fixed her mourning. Everything. Her mom came to her and said, I'm good. Wow. And so I guess that's my other ghost. I don't know if that's really a ghost. I don't know what that is. But for my dad to say he saw it is pretty crazy. Like if it didn't make him question his religious choices, he might now. He might now. Anyways, that's my story. Those are your little ghost stories.
Yep.
We got a few shout outs to do, and we are now days away from Erica's performance on November the 5th.
Yep.
At Union 28.
Yep. In Midlothian.
Midlothian, Texas at 6 p.m. And we should be both there and a few of our friends.
It's going to be a good time. You don't want to miss out.
You do not want to miss out.
Come hang out.
Yes. And if you'd like to check out Erica online on Spotify or on YouTube or wherever you find your music, then you want to look up Erica Lynn Lewis. She is the one singing at the beginning and the end of the song of our podcast. Mm-hmm. And then a shout out to Al and a shout out to
Eric.
We
love you, Eric.
We do love you, Eric. And anyone else you got? What else you got?
No, that's all I got.
All right. We're good for another day. And this is our longest one ever.
Yep.
Hour and 15, y'all.
That's what she said.
Lucky girl. And on that note, we'll talk to y'all later. Thanks for joining us. Check us out. Zada Owens on Facebook, Z Mama Sita on Instagram.
And I am Kelly Lady Pearl on Instagram. And also send us an email. It is 2 Sides and the Truth podcast all together at outlook.com. We will read it. We will talk to you. We'll call you. Or if you want to just do something that's anonymous, we'll read it. Anything.
You don't have to talk on here if you don't want to.
You can just send us something and we'll read it out. Or if you have a good topic or, something that you're struggling with and just want us to talk about it and give some advice or share a story that we can relate, we can definitely do that.
I think I'm going to have my sister on here soon who's a therapist. So that ought to be interesting as well.
Yes. We'll have Ask the Therapist segment.
Yes. And we will talk to y'all again next week or maybe later this week. Who knows? Y'all